angry enough to mobilize millions of yourselves against the injustice that everyone is suffering? Maybe not. I was having a chat with my pal on this, and he said he was having a chat with his own bro, right? And I said, how could the president's son do anything like that? Like, what the heck, man? He said, but it's politics. It is politics. Even look at that guy. Is that one not too old to be a NANS president? I said, wait. The issue is that Seyi Tinubu's all other thugs to beat up the supposed NANS president. And even if he is not a NANS president, like that should be criminal. Said, well, it's not criminal, Jari, it's all politics. The guy himself, when you see that guy, is that one not too old to be NANS president? And I bet some of you probably feel like that too. Others said, he is working for Atifku. So I don't pity him. He's working for Atifku. It's all politics. I was like, what about the physical, bodily, what do you call it, injury that is so physical, like impunity? That's what it does. That is impunity. And any of us can be victim of it. All of us will be the victim of it. All of us. You don't believe? You're already the victim of this injustice system as well. You are. It's just that somehow, you are still having that, when they say, you see, when you see the bigger people, right? So where they have a fat and all of that to be a cushion for them. They said that works so well during cold because you can store warmth and all of that. And just keep, that's exactly what the extra layer of some of you's skin have been. The injustice you face every day. You are improvising, you are coping, you are normalizing abnormalities until a particular one that you can't really control happens. And then it will be like the whole world is coming to an end. So you get what I mean? Everybody is suffering it. Everyone. So maybe that will be enough. Maybe not. But we don't need to say we are being distracted anymore now. I don't think any distraction should be enough for people who are determined, right, to actually fight for their own survival. I'm just saying. Now, talking about survival, this time it is going to be about you, the obedient. Handful of you are still very much interested in 2027. Yeah? I mean, just like you have people that are always going to call you names for being naive enough to go and participate in Nigeria election. But you are still going to do it anyway. And you are not so different from the Rattels too. Because you strongly believe that the only way of fighting back is to use your number. To some people, they will say you are not using them rightly. But to you, now we are using it rightly. Watch. Or you need this political party. Now, a lot of you have possibly now kind of like, gained some experience about how corrupt Nigerian system actually works. You watched the entire system change the rules of the game in the middle of the game. And a lot of you were just wondering, like, what? How? So 2027 cooking has begun. And it is better for you to be aware of what you are up against. You need a political party. Some said that you need to go and join the PDP or your OB. I don't know if you are aware of that, right? OB go back to PDP and OB will be the candidate of PDP. Others are saying that no, Obi can be the candidate of the coalition, and Obi will do 4 years, and then the power will return back to the north. I bet you have read some of this too, right? Yeah, you pick them up here and there where people are trying to drop their own take on this. But in reality, right, you need a political party. Now, We don't know what is still going to happen. But based on what we have right now, we can make some projections. Projection is not prophecy. They are facts, right, that are already happened, and you can piece them together to project where this is headed. A lot of you still very much remember the experience you had with Lamidi Otapampas during the presidential tribunal case, and how they did everything to not only to publicly discredit Obi's case. They went as far as try to sabotage it right from the tribunal. So when they stopped, and the judiciary completed the job for Tinubu, and everything seemed that, oh yeah, things probably will come back to normal. Then Abure scandal broke. How they actually took advantage of people's innocence to forgive and ignore the characters in Nigerian political space that they gave all their stuff to these guys. So Abure and his gang, they milk the situation, enrich themselves, and unable to account for the proceeds of supposed money realized during that obedient tsunami. So from that time, a lot of them have been saying that Abure had to go. Remember, the storm, obedient storm that swept through Nigeria, gave them a governor. And I think he gave them kind of like about 6 or 7, I'm not sure the number, 7 or so senators. And they got over 30 House of Representatives members as well, Labour Party, and many other House of Assembly. So their first deal, the first time as well that the Labour Party will be considered as one of the big 3 because of disobedience and Obi. Well, again, as the party attracted so many new guys from all over the place, there were those ones who were like foundational career young politicians who are not aspiring for anything. They have no motivation for anything. Every 4 years, they are just the vehicle, like the SPV, Special Purpose Vehicle Political Party, for politicians who have lost out in the big 2, APC and PDP. So you can go to any of this by paying these sort of like a political jobbers, parading themselves as lifetime leaders of this Labour Party. So challenges started, they started having problem because of the new entrants, which put sort of like pressure on the leadership, the pressure to have a better, modern, kind of another name like that, executive that represents, this wave of new Nigeria is possible movement. So it's about the old guard and the new guard. So this created a bit of a vacuum, enough that Abure had to conduct an election to declare himself re-elected as chairman in an hotel. So that became a legal case that ended up at the Supreme Court. Now the Supreme Court now ruled that Abure that conducted an election to return himself was wrong. Therefore, that action is void. But in that same judgment, the Supreme Court also said the internal affair of political parties remains the responsibility of the political parties and not that of the courts, which means whatever the political parties, however the political parties feels they want to run their own affairs based on their own constitution, so right, it's their problem, not that of the courts anymore. So this also created confusion. Abure's conducted convention is void by Supreme Court, meaning Abure is not chairman. The same Supreme Court says, however they decide to choose their leadership is not the court's problem. So Abure now said, that means they chose me. we decided to have the convention in an hotel, and we did the convention. That's our way of doing it, and we have chosen ourselves as the leaders. So if Supreme Court says it's our problem, then that judgment doesn't mean that Abure should go. Now, in this confusion, Peter Obi, Alex Otti, Nenadi Usman, and others, they took themselves to the INEC with the judgment, CTC, certified true copy of the judgment, say Abure is no longer the chairman, Nenadi is. Now let's assume that the INEC took that to recognize Nenadi. Abure continues to parade himself as the chairman. Now, the recent kind of like altercation they had was the one that Oseni interviewed Alex Otti, and they spoke about Labour Party problems and all that. And Alex Otti was like, they have no problems anymore. They are stable. They are this. Abure is gone. All those masturbation in public that Abure is doing, right? He's just wasting his time. In response, Abure called Alex Otti, the Lilliputian Swifty dwarf or dwarfies, something like that. But I remember he said Lilliputian dwarfies. We don't get sense, referring to Alex Otti. Then he also set up a committee, disciplinary committee, to investigate Otti and others, including Nenadi Usman, for gross misconduct. There are the names of those Abure had lined up for discipline or disciplinary action. Alex Otti, Ireti Njibe, Senator Darlington Nwokocha, Honorable Victor Afam Ogene, Honorable Amobi Oga, Honorable Seyi Showome. So Julius Abure now said they were going to suspend or dismiss Alex Otti and others who have joined Nenadi Usman to form a faction that wants him gone. So this morning, and so they start suspension bonanza. I've been a suspension galore. Nenadi Usman called what he called, hang on, before that, Julius Abure claimed to be acting under a new body called National Executive Council, NEC. In the case between Abure and others at the Supreme Court where he lost, Abure's committee was referred to as National Working Committee, NWC, of Labour Party. So since they dissolved that, Abure created another committee called NEC, and he is the chairman. So that's under that NEC arrangement is where he set up the disciplinary committee to investigate Alex Otti, Ireti Njibe, and others. So again, this morning, in response, Nenadi Usman and others who are like Alex Otti faction, Peter Obi's faction, right? Who see themselves as the authentic leadership of the party after the Supreme Court judgment. They decided to roll out their own disciplinary committee by suspending Abure first, setting up a committee to investigate him, and a possibility of final dismissal. To Abure and others, Peter Obi and co wanted to hijack his party. The card is playing, right? In his first response, just before this morning, Julius Abure,
as matured leaders of this party, as those who believe in the growth and development of the country, and as leaders that made them, we made them, without sounding immodest, we made Governor Alex Otti, made him governor, we supported him, made sacrifices to him, refused bribe, refused offers that made him governor. And so today he was again on Arise television and deliberately trying to misinform members of the public in respect of the Supreme Court's decision. My major worry was his foul language when he said that we are masturbating. The Supreme Court have sacked us and that he's laughing at us because we are still holding on to the leadership and masturbating in the party. And I felt that he's not the only one who can use gutter language. And I want to reply him as follows. Number one, Dwafi and Lilliputian men used to be men of great ideas. It is Alex Otti that I will see, who is not only Dwafi in appearance, but also Dwafi in knowledge. The Supreme Court decision was clear, crystal clear, that issues of leadership are a domestic affairs of the party. It is unambiguous. It is clear. And when the Supreme Court said it's a domestic affairs of the party, what does it mean? Even a layman who didn't go to school will know that the constitution of the party will be supreme. And the constitution of the party have created organs. Who has the mandate, who has the powers to dictate the affairs of the party. And rightly so, the Supreme Court said every matter that has to do with leadership and internal affairs and the domestic affairs of the party. And the party organs spoke loud and clear on the 27th of March 2024 at Tinubu, where a national convention was held that brought in the leadership of the party. And therefore, for him to again be on national television today after they have moved themselves like crickets to INEC office, and I'm sure the media saw it, where a governor belittled himself, carried the CTC, because we've not seen governors before, because INEC have not seen governor, or because he think he can intimidate INEC and harass them by going to INEC to submit a CTC of a court judgment. They jumped, carried it like cricket and went to INEC. INEC is a civilized organization. INEC is an organization that believes in the rule of law that is guided by rules and regulations. And I want to say clearly that Otti is not a good representation of our party, Labour Party. We went to the street in 2023 to tell Nigerians that Labour Party are going to produce leaders that will be different. We told Nigerians that a new Nigeria is possible. And that was why Nigerians followed the party. And today, what are we getting? We are seeing the typical politicians that are there, who will treat party constitution with ignominy. If you cannot obey your party constitution, is it when you are the president of Nigeria or when you are governor that you will not treat the constitution of Nigeria, the Electoral Act, and so on with impunity? If because you are governor, you can sit in Abure and say you have dissolved national executive, state executive, ward executive, local government unit executive. Even PDP, in their most powerful days, with all the governors, have never behaved with such an impunity. As matured
That was 2 days ago, I think. So this morning, again, is the morning of suspension bonanza. Because when Nnamdi and others acting based on the Supreme Court judgment as the authentic leaders of Labour Party, so they called an emergency meeting in response to that state